All right, so there were some interesting details revealed by Sabrina Ionescu as to why she made the decision to take up the final Unrivaled spot. But before we get to that, let me get to the purpose of this video in the first place, as it was made on request. And, I do my best to answer the requests when they come in. And on the last Sabrina video, you had this comment that said, "Good video. Couple things to note. This is huge. Satou Sabally is an unrestricted free agent this year who also plays on Unrivaled Phantom team with Sabrina. Number one, her sister plays for the Liberty. Two, Sabrina and Satou played at Oregon together. Three, Leonie Fiebich is on the German national team with Satou and also plays for the Liberty. It's possible Satou will sign with the Liberty for the 2025 season. Can you do a video on your thoughts on this?" And then another commenter below says, "Ouch, that would suck. I hope you are wrong." I'm assuming that was an Indiana Fever fan below because Sabally has been linked to the Fever. But those links to the Liberty make a ton of sense, right? They make a ton of sense. And in the past, the Olympics have been a recruiting ground of sorts in the NBA, where we've seen players go overseas, compete, come back, and wind up joining up on the same team. I'm not so sure it will be unrivaled per se, though they will be around each other. Maybe they rekindle a relationship. I'm not saying it hurts, but I don't know if it's unrivaled that will do it rather than all the dots you just connected. And it makes a lot of sense for Sabally to consider the Liberty when you talk about market, when you talk about her sister, when you talk about the Sabrina connection, when you talk about knowing Fiebich, and when you talk about being a championship team, so on and so forth. A lot to work with there. It's not a hard sell. At the same time, I believe the Wings can still core her, which is an interesting wrinkle in any WNBA free agency discussions, because why wouldn't you core a top-tier talent? Though I know there is restrictions on how many times you can do that and how many players on the roster you can have under those distinctions. So all that could factor in. But to answer the initial question, sure. Now that you put it that way, I think there's a chance that Satou Sabally joins the Liberty, and I would have put them in that mix before then. Now, as far as Sabrina goes, she said Unrivaled gave her flexibility with her schedule. The NBA All-Star game, it sounds all but done, signed, sealed, and delivered that she and Caitlin Clark will be competing in the NBA All-Star game on the, that weekend. And Unrivaled, I don't think, has games or team games that weekend, but regardless, she said she has certain dates she has to be gone for, and that they were very accommodating about that. And that was a huge decision for her. She weighed out all her options, what was best for her career, but being able to be part of a historic deal and be on the ownership side was important for her. She also obviously talked about her injury and coming back and that she should be ready to go. And then, of course, I'm sure the bag came into play. I've already covered that fairly extensively. But regardless, I think this is a huge win for Unrivaled, relatively speaking, considering some of the players who aren't participating, to especially get it at the last second. It's like a pop of excitement. I do wonder about that trade that happened. If you didn't see, there was a big Unrivaled trade. I don't know. Was that done at Ionescu's behest? Because she comes in as the final wildcard spot, and the final wildcard spot was traded to the Phantom. And she did say she was excited to play with Satou Sabally. So we will see if that stays in Miami or makes its way back up north.